Are you in the market for secondary business studies teaching aids? Well, here on Resource Review, we're going to be evaluating 3 that might just fit the bill. An online stocks and shares trading game.
Team Baddie, how much cash have you got left?
A business simulation game.
10, 11, 12.
Wait, that's at 16.
And an enterprise education pack. Find out what our panel of experts think of these here on Resource Review. Joining me to recommend today's resources is Chris Horton, businessman and enterprise advisor to the London Borough of Westminster. Joining Chris, we have Rowan Skeen, Head of Business and Economics at Marylebone School in London. Also joining us is Marilyn Holness, Principal Lecturer in Education and Deputy Principal at Southlands College at Roehampton University. Welcome to you all. Thanks very much for coming. So, Chris, let's start with your first resource, SchoolBiz, the online stocks and shares trading game. Tell us a bit more about it and why you chose it.
OK, SchoolBiz is, as you say, a stocks and shares trading game, which mirrors exactly the stock market, and particularly the FTSE 100. So what happened was the company went into a school and selected teams of students to run enterprise clubs. The students were each given a virtual sum of money, £5,000 each, and as a team, as teams of sort of 5 to 6 students, they were then having to make buy, sell, hold decisions with their virtual sum of money, with the software allowing them to track actual time changes in the stock exchange. So what I particularly liked about that was that they're all working as a team. They have to kind of negotiate their decisions between them. But in the process of buying and selling and making money, they're actually engaging with business and economics and financial capability.
All right, well, thank you very much. Before we discuss this resource any further, let's have a look at it in use. And we visited Westminster City School to see how a group of fledgling investors got on.
Team Baddie, how much cash have you got left? We're using a resource, schoolbiz.org.uk, and basically the students have got £5,000 which they're investing into a portfolio of shares. Can you just read that article for me, please? We looked at 2 newspaper reports, and the aim there was for the students to just see that the publicity in business can have an effect on the shares. So it's very important when you are thinking about your shares, has there been any publicity about that company, or has there been any reports? If they went onto the computers to look at how their portfolio has done and then decide perhaps which shares they should buy, which shares they may want to sell, depending on the performance of the last week.
How many checked them in 5? We got 951.
£46.
18 pence.
For one share?
Yeah.
So with this resource, students just know how much money they've got to spend, they decide what share they want, how many shares, enter that data into the computer, and there they have it. They've got their portfolio, and it's tracked every 15 minutes. So the students within a lesson can see, oh, we've made money perhaps on Woolworths, and then in the next 15 minutes they may have lost some money on another share. So it's a really good resource to use. What about Apple?
Hamleys. Can you buy shares in Hamleys?
I don't know. Although you can have more shares put on, there is a limited number of shares for students to buy. So if there was perhaps a lot more variety for the students, that would be one improvement. Why is it going to make profits?
Because when times, like summer times, people have to buy new clothes for summer. Winter, they need to buy new clothes for winter.
What I like about this resource is it's very user-friendly. It's been in operation for about 3 weeks, and we didn't really look at it before we started with the class, and the class were all able to do it. There was no teething problems. Everybody was just really pleased to take part.
Well, Chris, a favourable review from the teacher there, but do you think it's simple enough to use for students who aren't really studying that sort of thing.
Certainly from my experience, because in the schools where I've been in and I've joined in the enterprise clubs, there is a great deal of enthusiasm for it. The students seem to love watching the screens change and watching the fact they come in the next day and all of a sudden their portfolio has gone up by £200. They get very switched on by that.
OK, Rowan, if I can come to you first, how do you think your pupils would respond to School Biz?
I think the pupils would really enjoy playing that share market game, especially students at Key Stage 4 who are studying business or economics at GCSE.
The teacher there thought it was very realistic. How important is that to really engage the students?
It's very important, and you saw from the video clip one of the students relating the fact that they needed to, buy clothing or whatever. It was some seasonal product that they were going to buy for Woolworths or whatever the company was. So it's very important to get that realistic element into it, and this seems to bring that.
OK. Marilyn, what do you think of School Biz?
I think School Biz is a very flexible product. It's something that a teacher can take and use in a range of situations, so as part of a classroom resource, so that students can get an opportunity to work with on a particular topic for a set period of time, sort of 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and then move on to something else. So it's got a nice sort of shelf life in itself. It's a nice self-contained piece of work.
Well, thank you very much. Now let's move on to Chris's second choice of resource. And Chris, this is essentially most of what we see on the table. Boom Biz, no relation to School Biz. Can you explain this resource to us?
Yeah, Boom Biz was developed by a company called The Change Works. And this is a game that I played during Enterprise Week against a group of students at Haverstock School. Basically, we formed teams and we had to make sense of all these plastic objects that you see before you. We had to compete in 4 different markets, coming together as a team, and we were given a schedule of orders that we have to fulfil. I like it because it's really bringing the actual tensions of having to produce things to a deadline into a game for students, and also encouraging them to think more about a customer-centred approach to business. It's customers that drive the success of businesses, and unless you deliver those parts on time, you're not going to be successful in the game.
Right, OK, well, let's take a closer look. We visited Haverstock School, where teacher Jackie King was getting to grips with the resource.
First thing that you're going to do is to choose your market. You get a market summary. You'll have 5 minutes to choose your market. Today we were playing Boom Biz, which is a business simulation game. Each team has to decide on a market to operate in, and they are given allocated roles, which they have to work to.
Who wants sales and marketing?
I don't mind, I'll do anything.
Then they are given their playing materials from which to make their products. They have to make products in order to meet their customer demand within time periods. Now, you can purchase these either right at the start of each cycle or after 1.5 minutes. So you have As you go along through the game, the initial problem is always trying to make the product so that it suits the customer, and they're always very disappointed because there's only one way that you can make this product. So they're very taken aback when they make their first delivery and the customer says, no, I'm not accepting these products. So very quickly they realise that they've got to focus on the product and getting the product right. 10, 11, 12.
Wait, that said 16. At first it said 16.
Can't have done. The students get a number of things out of the game. They're very quickly hooked in, and so time goes past very quickly. So invariably, as happened today, we get but we want to play more. The other thing they get out of it very quickly is the need to work as a group. And the teamwork aspect is one thing that I was very interested in when I purchased the game, because you do have to work together to get this right. It's really good fun. And the whole flavour of it, it's nice bright colours, it's nicely put together, it feels like a quality game, and from the moment you start putting the bits and pieces in people's hands, they like the feel and they like the look of it. I like the box and I like the whole thing about it. I think it's a very good game.
Well, Chris summed up there as a good game, but is there good teacher support?
There's plenty of good information in a handbook that comes with it. So a good teacher, I think, would be able to sort of read the handbook and to deliver it.
Marilyn, what do you think of Boom Biz?
I think it's a good resource for a good teacher. What you will have is a set of things that a teacher can use to either introduce new concepts, new knowledge, new ideas within business, but they can also use it to consolidate, to help pupils apply their knowledge. They can use it as a part of an assessment tool to see how much they have learned and how much they do understand, so as a way of just bringing it all together in a sort of synoptic kind of way. So lots of opportunities to use it in different stages within the business studies course, but definitely a tool for teachers to use creatively to bring about, you know, some engaging learning activities.
Rowan, resources are always all about the teacher, really, aren't they? I mean, is this something that you can see being used well in your school?
I can see it being used well in the short term. Obviously, the students work as a group, and they're having to build up their team working skills and deal with uncertainty, but it is a short-term solution, I think. But a very good game.
OK, well, thank you all very much. Let's move on then to Chris's third resource, and it's just here. It's the Working on Enterprise pack. Something a bit different, Chris. Tell us about this resource.
I chose a model that's aimed at every school being able to deliver a framework for enterprise education. This model deals with the subject by giving 35 pretty well-researched lesson plans around the 5 elements of enterprise capability, which are handling change, responding to uncertainty, creating new ideas, implementing new ideas, and recognising risk-reward strategies. So for any school that's keen on delivering enterprise education, this is a great starting point because it covers everything and it allows you to start with that.
Marilyn, what are your thoughts on the pack?
It allows a group of non-specialist teachers to take it and to find ways of applying enterprise across a range of subjects. What we've got to be sure of is that people recognise the key enterprise ideas and that they don't just sort of accept that the pack does it for them. It still requires the teacher to take that and to make something of it.
Rowan, what did you think of the pack?
I think it's a really good resource. It allows you to create your own course over a short time period or over a whole year. There's very good PowerPoints in there, there's DVDs, interactive games, all sorts of things. And it's very clearly set out and it's very easy to use, especially if you're not an economics, business or enterprise teacher. So
Right.
very good resource.
I would say that it shouldn't be regarded as having, you know, once you've got that, you've delivered enterprise. I think it should be regarded as a kind of a bedrock tool. There are all aspects of the curriculum ought to be covered by allowing students to develop their enterprise capabilities. But that, I think, is a pretty good start. It copies over onto the school intranet, so all the resources have been reasonably well thought through. I guess it gets a tick for, you know, enabling a school to get to grips fast with teaching enterprise. Obviously, you've got to find time in the curriculum. That's another challenge.
OK, well, I'm afraid that's all we've got time for today. But just to recap, the 3 resources that we've looked at are SchoolBiz, Stocks and Shares Trading Game from SchoolBiz, BoomBiz, Business Simulation Game from the Changeworks Limited, and finally, Working on Enterprise pack with CD-ROM from Gapwork Publishing. For more information about all of the resources that we've discussed today and to post your own comments about other resources for secondary business studies, go to our website. It's teachers.tv/resource review. Or if you want to email us, resourcereview@teachers.tv. So all that remains for me to do is to say a very big thank you to our panel, to Chris, to Rowan and to Marilyn. And thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time on Resource Review. Bye-bye.